Hello, welcome to Think and Grow Rich Daily Hangout. My name's Sandy Levesque. This is a hangout where we read from the book Think and Grow Rich, and the whole point of the group is that people can help to unprogram from the matrix of scarcity consciousness, of lack consciousness, by tuning into this book and to the magic of it. So, hi Jackie.
Hi Sandy.
How are you?
Waking up.
Well done for getting on.
Good.
Jackie's in New York, so I'm always amazed when she makes it onto this.
Well, get ready. I'm going back to Montana, so I don't know what's going to happen.
Oh, you are?
Yep, I booked a flight on Wednesday.
Ah,
Part of my Be
congratulations.
Decisive.
Yeah. Oh, well done. And morning, Glenn.
Good morning.
How are you?
Doing fine. Very
Good,
good.
good.
It's early for you too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What time do you
had
get
a
up?
busy weekend, Sandy, I see.
Yeah, I know. And it's been raining here, so I'm inside today. But it's just clearing up now. But we've had a lot of storms, so there was a massive thunderstorm this morning. It was all quite exciting.
Yeah, we've been having those too, just recently.
You have. Ah, yeah, with all the summer weather
We're in
coming.
North Carolina here pretty quick. That's not far from where we are, that's...
I know. I saw that on the map. It's just like across the it's kind of parallel, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. Tennessee used to be part of North Carolina.
It was?
Yeah.
A long time ago, I guess.
A long time ago, yes, yeah.
Ah,
It
cool.
was
Well,
the Western Territory at that time,
it was what?
The Western Territory at that time,
What does that mean? It was owned by...
Well, it had to be opened up by people like Daniel Boone and people that came across the Cumberland Trail, right? So it's kind of wild still,
Oh, wow, like the Wild Wild West.
Yeah, it was the West at that time,
Oh, okay, that was the one that was going out and getting everything. So basically what we're doing with the book, we're on the lecture notes, and I think we're on page 14. I was just looking at it before we started. We've just been reading, in case you missed any of last week's, we've read the book once, and now we're reading from lecture notes, which are amazing. They were lectures that Napoleon Hill did after the book was published, and they're all about your right to be rich, is what he called them. So do either of you guys want to read?
Yeah, okay, Jackie, that'd be great.
Okay.
My last chance, Glenn. I was telling Sandy I got a ticket. I'm going back to Montana on Wednesday.
Oh, you are?
I'll probably be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, but are you going to...
And then in Montana it's 3:15, and I just can't hardly see me making that.
Oh my goodness. I bet. Oh. Okay, so we are on... Okay, so if you go to page 13, it's the second... I don't know if you've got it open, Jackie, the second PDF. Number 2 of 9. And it's... I think we're actually on page 11. Yeah.
I think we're around... let's see. I'm just trying to find...
Yeah, I think we're on... I think we just read to about page 11, so we could start from the top of it, because it kind of all fits together, the 14 principles. He's just basically said that all you really need is a burning desire to do something, a good mastermind group around you to help you do it, and the faith that you can do it. And that's like the basic 3 ingredients.
Yes.
And then you've got these other 14 principles which can help you develop those 3 things, like make them really strong and rock solid so that you're unstoppable. He talks about it like a cake. So...
Yeah, I think the top of 11, right? I think was
yeah, exactly. We need 14 additional principles. Do you have it, Jackie?
Yeah. Is it not on the screen?
Cool. Sorry, I was on the book. Okay, so I'll mute myself out. Thank you.
We need 14 additional principles to induce you to make use of these 3. You need personal initiative, you need imagination, and you need enthusiasm. In other words, this philosophy is something like baking a cake. When you go to bake a cake, you don't put in just one ingredient. You put in a pinch of this and a pinch of that, a dash of the other thing, and then you put it in the stove and bake it. If you took out any of those ingredients, you wouldn't have the same kind of a cake. It's the same way with this philosophy. You can't leave out any one of these 17 principles. It would be just like taking a link out of a chain. You wouldn't have a chain anymore. You would have two parts of it, but not a whole chain. These other 14 principles are supporting principles of these three. Faith is a state of mind that has been called the mainspring of the soul, through which one aims, desires, plans, and purpose may be translated into their physical and financial equivalent. Here are the fundamentals of faith. When you speak of applied faith, we're talking about something vastly different from just mere belief. Applied means action. Without action, faith is nothing but just daydreaming. There are a lot of people who believe in things, but they don't do anything about them. They are engaging only in daydreaming. Applied faith is an active faith. The fundamentals of faith are, first of all, definiteness of purpose supported by personal initiative and action. 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 The more action, the better. It means continuous action, not only on your part, but on the part of those that may be cooperating with you, or maybe your mastermind allies of yours. Next, in a positive mind, free from all negatives such as fear, envy, hatred, and greed is essential. Mental attitude determines the effectiveness of faith. Did you know that is a fact? The frame of mind that you're in when you go to pray determines what happens as a result of that prayer. There's no two ways about it. You can test it out for your own self and find out. Napoleon has no doubt that you've had the experiences he had of sending out prayers that didn't produce anything but a negative result. When you go to prayer, unless you have such absolute faith that whatever you're going after, that you're going to acquire, that you can see it in advance in your possession before you start asking for it, the chances are that the effect of your prayer is going to be negative. Next, a masterminded alliance with one or more people who radiate courage based on faith and are suited mentally and spiritually to one's needs in carrying out a given purpose. Recognition of the fact that every adversity carries with it the seed of an equivalent benefit and temporary defeat is not failure until it has been accepted as such. Do you know where the majority of people fall down in connection with their application of their faith? It's when they're defeated and they accept that defeat as being something they can't do anything about. Instead of beginning immediately to search for that seed of an equivalent benefit that's in every defeat, they become moody and discouraged. They build up inferiority complex instead of reversing that order and using that defeat as nothing more than temporary and making another effort. Next, the habit of affirming one's definite major purpose in the form of a prayer at least once daily. The subconscious mind only knows what you tell or what you allow other people to tell it or what you allow the circumstances of life to tell it. It doesn't know the difference between a lie and the truth. It doesn't know the difference between a penny and $1 million. It accepts the things that you send over. If you send over predominantly thoughts on poverty, ill health, and failure, that's exactly what you'll get. No matter how much faith you may have, later on you'll find out that the subconscious responds to the mental attitude that you're maintaining during the day. It's necessary for you to affirm over and over again the objects that you're going to obtain in life until you educate your subconscious mind to attract automatically to you the things that are related to what you're aiming to obtain in life. You'll find that your mind is like an electromagnet. Once you charge it with a clear picture of what you want, it will attract to you from the highways and the byways the things that you need to carry out that purpose. Recognition of the existence of infinite intelligence that give ordinal list of the entire universe. The individual, you that is a minute expression of this intelligence, and as such, you the individual. Your mind has no limitations except those accepted or set up in your own mind. Your mind has no limitations whatsoever except those you allow to be established there or deliberately set up in your own mind or accept. The achievements of men like Mr. Edison, Mr. Ford, Mr. Carnegie, and Napoleon Hill, if you please, certainly supports the idea that there is no limitation except that which you set up in your own mind. If your Napoleon had ever wavered for 1 second, from the time he started with Mr. Carnegie until the time he gave this philosophy to the world, if he had wavered 1 second in his belief that he would do it, he never would have done it. The harder the going was, the more Napoleon believed that he would do it. If you can take that attitude towards yourself, if you can throw yourself over on the side of yourself, so to speak, when you're overtaken by adversity, if you can do that, if you can stand by and not also go over against yourself, then you're using up live faith. Did you know that there are testing times for people? Have you ever thought of that? Nobody is permitted to attain a high state in life and stay there without being tested any more than anybody is allowed to go into a well-managed business and go up to a high position and stay there without ever being tested with lower position, step by step until he earns the right to be up at the top. Napoleon doesn't know how the creator runs his business entirely, but he can catch a pretty good idea of how he does it from observing that part which he can understand. And of course, there's much more he can't understand. Napoleon can see definitely that he allows nobody to attain a high state of life without giving him severe testings. One of the most astounding things Napoleon found in his research was that the men of great achievement in all walks of life backbound through the ages were great only in proportion as they had been defeated and as they had met with opposition. That's an outstanding thing. It could not have been a coincidence that every one of these outstanding men was great in proportion exactly as he had been small and as he had been opposed and as he had had to struggle. Napoleon used to tell of his early struggles until one of his business management people told him that wasn't a good idea. Napoleon, however, thought it was a good idea because if you only knew the amount of major defeat that he met with and still skips his head above the water and still lived to deliver his philosophy, he would say, "If Hill can do it, I can do it too." The habit of affirming one's definite major purpose in the form of a prayer, at least daily, and the recognition of infinite intelligence. Napoleon called it infinite intelligence because he had students of all faiths and all religions all over the world, and infinite intelligence happens to be a sort of neutral, in-between term that nobody can object to. Nobody at all. Unless you not only believe in that, unless you can prove yourself, unless you can absolutely put down on paper evidence that there is a first cause that you can draw on, then you're not going to be able to make the fullest use of applied faith. One of Napoleon's students asked him one day about his concept of God, his concept of infinite intelligence, and if he meant the same thing as God, and Napoleon said, "Yes, I do." And the student said, "Can you prove the existence of your concept of God?" Napoleon said, "Everything in the universe is the finest of the evidence of the existence of it because of the orderliness of the universe. Everything is orderly, from electrons and protons of the smallest part of matter onto the largest sums that float through the heavens. Everything is in orderliness. There's no chaos and no running together of the planets. There's more evidence of a first cause than anything Napoleon knew of." If you don't believe that, if you don't accept, see it, feel it, or know it, then you won't know that you're a minute part of that infinite intelligence expressing through your brain. If you recognize that, then you recognize that your only limitations are those which you set up in your own mind or permit somebody to set up there or circumstance to establish for you. Next, careful inventory of your past defeats and adversities from which it becomes obvious that all such experiences do carry the seed of an equivalent benefit. Just to hear Napoleon say that every adversity carries with it the seed of an equivalent benefit wouldn't mean a thing in the world to you unless you made application of it and gave the illustration after illustration, unless you examine enough illustrations in your whole experience to see that it always works out that way. That's why Napoleon recommends that you examine the adversities that come to you. Did you know that oftentimes your adversities are your greatest blessings? Oh, I like that. The greatest blessings that ever came to Napoleon was the loss of his mother. Ordinarily, you would say that would be the greatest catastrophe that could overtake a child to lose his mother at the age of 9 years. That was the greatest blessing because it brought him a new mother to take her place that was responsible for everything that Napoleon ever achieved. She was very largely responsible, to say the least. Without her influence, he would have been fighting rattlesnakes and drinking mountain liquor. Without some 20 major adversities Napoleon went through, he would never have been able to prove the soundness of philosophy and that there is a seed of an equivalent benefit in every adversity. Can you imagine any worse adversity coming to a man to walk down to the hospital to be informed that his son was born without any sign of ears, that he would be a deaf, dumb mute all of his life? Can you imagine any worse adversity than that? Napoleon was thankful it happened because by his contract with infinite intelligence, he was improvised with a hearing system of some sort that gave him 65% of his normal hearing, and with a hearing aid, 100%. He learned to live a normal life, and Napoleon got the greatest demonstration of his power of faith. Napoleon couldn't have got it any other way. He had to get it firsthand and never accepted the affliction of his child, not even before he saw him. His relatives accepted it. They wanted to put him in a school of underprivileged children where he would learn sign language and learn to lip read. Napoleon didn't want him to know there were such things. When he got up to where he was old enough to go to school, Napoleon had to fight with the school authorities every year, just as regularly as the time came around. They wanted to send him over to a school of underprivileged children where he would mix with the other children and see that there were afflictions. Napoleon didn't want him to know there were such things, and he taught him from the very beginning that his son not having any ears was a great blessing, and he believed it. It turned out to be because people took compassion on him. They did things for him they wouldn't have done otherwise. His son got a job as a salesman for the Saturday Evening Post, and oftentimes he would go out with $5 worth of merchandise and come back with $10 in cash. He did that many times. People would look at him and say, that poor little fella has no ears out selling papers. I guess his parents are poor. Napoleon in the audience laughed. Very often he would get $1 apiece for a Saturday Evening Post. He lived a perfectly normal life because Napoleon taught him that an affliction, any kind of affliction, can be transmuted into a benefit. That's an astounding thing, isn't it, to consider that it is true? But it is true. Napoleon saying that won't mean a thing in the world unless you begin to look around your own experiences, take inventory, and watch what happens in the future. There will be things that happen to you that are unpleasant, and maybe some to Napoleon too. When anything unpleasant happens to Napoleon, he immediately transmuted into something pleasant immediately. Self-respect expressed through harmony with one's own conscience is certainly an important factor in applied faith. Isn't it a marvelous thing that the Creator set up in everybody a judge advocate that tells you the right thing and the wrong thing? You don't have to ask anybody what's right or wrong. Your own conscience tells you, unless you convert it to a conspirator instead of a cooperator by choking it off and not responding to it as so many people do. Your conscience can be not only a guide, but it can also be corrupted to where it's a conspirator. It'll help you cover up your meanness, and a lot of people use it for just that purpose too. Next, to create a mental attitude favorable for the expression of faith, and here's what you do. First of all, know what you want and determine what you have to give in return for it. Know what you want in life, not only in your major purpose, but also in your minor purposes. What kind of house do you want to live in? What kind of car do you want to drive? What kind of wardrobe do you want? What kind of education do you want your children to have? What kind of present are you going to buy your wife for her birthday? You better be sure to buy her one every time if you're going to keep on good terms with her. Or him, your husband. It's not the big things in a relationship between a man and wife that count. It's the little things that count. The little things that Napoleon's wife cooked up for him, not food, but little parties, visits, and the trips that she cooked up for him when he was home did not amount so much in one way, and yet in another way, they were very sentimental and kept the relationship alive that they had before they were married. In 1954, they were still courting each other. Napoleon did more of a courting job than he did before because he wanted to keep her. The audience claps and laughs. That's important. These very super intimate things that make joy in Napoleon's life would be just as acceptable in your life too, if the little things in your life that make the difference between happiness and unhappiness. When you affirm the object of your desires through prayer, let your imagination see yourself already in possession of the thing that you're going at. If you keep at it, you'll find that it is not so hard to do. It was easy for Napoleon to do that because he never went after anything that he hadn't first sold himself through thoroughly on the idea that not only did he have the right to get it, but also earn that right by giving something in return. That's the best salesmanship in the world. When you go out to sell a person an idea, merchandise, or service, if you know positively that you're going to give him his money's worth and more too before you start, it does something to you that enables you to do something to him. That enables him to, in return, do something for you. If you want your prayers to be effective, don't wait until the time of need to utter them. Build up the habit of prayer when you don't need anything. What do you pray for then? You give gratitude for what you already have. Wouldn't it be an interesting thing if Napoleon gave a lesson assignment right now to write down before bedtime everything in the world that you have to be thankful for? Carry out that assignment. It's going to be one of the surprises of your life. You may have a lot of things you don't want, but you have a lot of things you do want. Write down a list of them and express gratitude that you have these things that you like. You can certainly start with the fact you're associated in a country where you have freedom of speech, freedom of action, freedom of thought, freedom of opportunity. Certainly that would head the list because in other countries we don't have that much. And then you could come right on down from that and put down all the things that you have to be grateful for and then start expressing gratitude every night and every day. Keep your mind open for guidance from within. Don't be disrespectful of hunches. Treat them with civility. Examine them. You may find that some of these very unusual hunches that are coming are bringing you messages that you need to get you over the hump in whatever it is that you're doing. And when you're inspired by hunches, to move on some plan created by your imagination which leads in the direction of that which you desire. Accept the plan and act upon it at once. Remember always that there can be no such state of mind as faith without appropriate action. Faith without deeds is dead. When overtaken by defeat, as you may be many times, remember that a man's faith is tested many times, and your defeat may only be one of your testing times. Isn't that an astounding and encouraging thing to recognize? When you're meeting with defeat, that probably in the eyes of your Creator, you're only being tested to see whether you're a man or a worm. We all go through that testing time. The ones that survive these tests and come out on top with an abiding faith are the ones that become truly great in life. According to Napoleon, there's no doubt in the world that it's a part of the Creator's plan to see that everybody that amounts to anything above mediocrity must pay the price of undergoing test after test as to his faith. Napoleon saw evidence everywhere that it's true. Any negative state of mind will destroy the power of faith and result in a negative climax. Your state of mind is everything. In Napoleon's notes, he underscored that your state of mind is everything. He put emphasis on that because the only thing in this world that you have control over is your state of mind. Certainly, that connotes the fact that the Creator intended that to be the most important asset that you have. It's because, with the use of that mind, you can prove it into any objective or the attainment of any end you choose. Your education, your background, your nationality, and your creed has nothing whatsoever to do with your ability to achieve. It's a state of mind that you maintain. That's the thing that determines how, what, and when you achieve.
Thank you, Jackie. I think we can
cool. All right,
stop
so
there
page
for
19.
today.
Yes.
Yeah, so what page is that you just finished on?
The next page is 19. I finished 18.
You finished 18. Okay, good.
It'll be at
I'll
the
just
top
write
of
that
19.
down. It's going to be easier than trying to guess. Cool. Okay, so thank you so much. I like these lecture notes. They're kind of like a summary of what he goes into a lot of detail in the book. So he covers quite a lot. So here he's talking a lot about defeats and like them being blessings and adversity, and like basically keeping like what makes people keep going. Did anything come to you guys as you were listening to this?
Well, you know, I just happened to watch over the weekend Barbara Corcoran. I don't know if you know who she is, but she's a very successful woman, and she is on what they call Shark Tank. It's a TV show, and and it was a TED's talk, and I said, well, Barbara Corcoran, speaking of TED's talk, so I had to look at it, and in there it was about failure. It was about failure. She gave a talk on failure at Barnard College, I think it was, and she said her failures have been her jewels, you know, and you'll have to see it. I'll put up a link to that talk.
Cool, I want to watch that.
Yeah, it's
She's an amazing woman because she started out from like nothing in a very and became one of the wealthiest real estate mega moguls.
Yeah, amazing woman. Yes, very, very amazing. You know, very somebody to kind of look up to. You know, I think, you know, for men and women to look up to. You know.
Oh, so can I ask you guys? So when what do you see in this woman that we've been reading about in this book? Like, do you recognize any of the traits that Napoleon's talking about when you sort of watch her or hear her speak?
When you, I'm sorry, you have to repeat that, Cindy.
Oh, so.
Well, she's definitely turned, you know.
Well, let me just repeat it for Glenn, Jackie. Yeah. I'm just asking, do you see in her story and what she says any of the things that Napoleon's talking about? Like, does anything stand out?
Yes. Well, you know, mostly that she says you'll be tested. I mean, in his passage we read today, he said, well, you will be tested, right, as you go through life, and that's all right. And so really what Barbara talked about was her tests, right, things that tested her.
Yeah.
To help her to push on, right, to understand how things can change so quickly, right, even when you are tested, you know. So.
And sorry, Jackie, I cut you off.
That's okay. Well, and just he talks about like some of the things that you would think would be the worst thing that can happen to you. Like she came from one of the worst homes, and you know her upbringing was very difficult. And then she just turned it around, and she didn't let anybody say, "Oh, you're just a poor waitress." I think she was a waitress in the beginning. You're just a poor waitress. You can never be. You know, yes. She's as like as wealthy as Donald Trump. You know, she's like the mega.
Wow.
She's, you know, and she just did that all herself, working herself and just learning everything she could, and just. You know, she's certainly a case of you can't let any kind of adversity stand in your way.
Yes.
Had a burning desire.
And you know,
Yes.
another woman that I've discovered, she's a colleague of Bob Proctor, is Mary Morrissey. Do you guys know her? Know of Mary Morrissey?
Her name sounds really familiar.
Well, I'll put a link. Well, I'll send you a video. I'm doing a little thing with her about dreams, you know, about dreaming big, you know. And I've sent you a video through the email, Sandy, to you to look at.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, wonderful.
Today you sent that, or before?
Yeah, just today, just before we.
Oh,
started.
okay. I was going to say I haven't seen that. Okay, that's why. Oh, thank you. Maybe I can post it in the group as well.
I think these are women that are well accomplished, you know, and it's good to get that message out, right? Even for men too, to understand.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. That's why I was so happy when you started talking about a woman.
Great.
Because it's easy to focus on the guys, like Napoleon does.
Well, yeah, you know, we have to balance it, right? You know, it's got to be.
Yeah.
You know, it's a balanced world, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And something actually I can share that's helped me since I began reading this book and doing what we're doing with the study group is I think I've realized that I tended, whenever anything didn't go how I wanted, I used to just dwell in the negativity of it. You know, I'd feel bad about it. I would, unconsciously, I wouldn't, you know, I wasn't really aware I was doing this. And Edison in particular, you know, his 10,000 attempts, and the sentence that always pops in my mind whenever I have a moment like that is that each time he had a failure, he saw it as that he was getting closer to the one that would work. And I think that's so brilliant when you really take it in. It's like
Right.
every single awkward situation or adversity, as you're just eliminating more of the things that could be in your way, you know, then you never sort of see it as a bad thing. You're just, it totally shifted my perspective. So having come from a background where any bad thing is sort of seen as a bad thing, it's kind of a different way of looking at the world. And that's really...
I do that in sales a lot because I was taught that you're going to get 40 no's for every yes. So every time I get a no, I'm like, all right, cool, there's one of those 40 no's, and I kind of check it off.
Yeah, it's gone. It's behind you now, you know?
Yeah, so then I'm getting closer to that yes.
Yeah, I never used to understand that. Like, I heard that someone say that even just like a month ago. They said, every day I wanted to get 5 no's. And I was listening thinking, what do you mean? Like, why would you want to get 5 no's? And it wasn't until I was in a shop one day and I was watching all the people coming in because I was waiting for someone. And then I saw how, you know, just a small proportion of the people that came into that shop bought something. I suddenly realized, well, of course, because they need to have a certain number of people coming in and they need to have a certain number of no's so they can have the yeses.
Yeah.
You know, like the law of averages. So I found that so useful personally.
Because not everybody's going to need what you have, so you have to have a certain number of people that aren't.
Right.
Yeah, and then you're closer to the ones that will get it and that will really benefit.
It's kind of like defining your niche and narrowing it down because you're going to have those other people, but you need to find those ones that...
Yeah.
So back to Montana, Jackie, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, back home, yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that reminds me actually, I'm going to be in... Oh, and also we have a message from Tracy in the Q&A. I don't think anyone else can see it. So he just says, "Hi guys, have a great day. I'm busy as a bee getting ready for my trip to the US.
I figured he was busy, yeah.
Let's hope the air traffic controllers come to their senses because there's a strike here in France from tomorrow."
Yeah, I understand.
Like,
oh my goodness.
Facepalm. There's a train strike still ongoing, so it's just crazy.
Oh, yes.
But what I was going to say is that I'm going to be in America from Thursday. I can do Wednesday's Hangout, but I won't be able to do Thursday, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday because I'm away till Tuesday. So, Jackie, I guess you're going to be in Montana, right? It's too early.
Yeah.
Can't see it happening.
Maybe we'll just wait until you return then, Sandy, huh?
I think that might be easier because I'm not sure who's going to be, because Tracy's also going to be at this event, so
Yeah. So
it might just be easier.
We'll have a little vacation.
Yeah, exactly, like a little holiday, and then we'll start again on Wednesday. So we'll take a week off basically from
after
Wednesday,
tomorrow,
and
right?
then we'll come back again on the following Wednesday. But I'll tell everyone again on Wednesday just to remind people. Cool.
After tomorrow, I guess, right? We'll do tomorrow then, right?
Well, we still have 2 more because I can do Wednesday. I'm actually leaving on Thursday morning. I thought I was leaving on Wednesday, but I'm leaving Thursday.
Yeah.
So I can still do 2 more days. And the Hangout seems to be working okay now. I fixed it. Well, my friend kindly fixed it. So, and we also have a message from David Amin who says hi. So hello, David.
Hi, David.
Sandy, on your Zumba class, you got my note about the connection problem, right? I had a little connection problem because I paid, I signed up and I paid, but I never got a response from PayPal.
Yeah, I know.
And that's just a back end problem of some type, you might.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually going to have a really good system that does it all automatically. It just takes a bit of time to get it all set up with the paperwork. So I found a way to solve that for next time, because it should have done it automatically, even though I'm using something else, PayPal, but it didn't. And you weren't the only one. It happened to some other people. So I'm going to do it manually.
Yeah, I thought you'd want to know about it,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Glenn. And also just to say to David, if you want to join the Facebook group, you'll actually be able to come into the Hangout if you want to actually appear on and read as well. So we've just had a lot of new people join the group. So if you're one of the new people, like 10 people in the last few days, then you're absolutely welcome to join in the Hangouts. You just have to follow the instructions I've posted in the Facebook group, because there's 2 different links. One is just to watch, and one actually brings you into the Hangout. So you're more than welcome to join us. So thank you so much for reading, Jackie, and Glenn, for you for coming out.
Yeah, and Jackie, we'll be in touch on Facebook, right, as we go.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Will you be going back to New York, or are you staying in Montana?
Oh, does anybody know? I don't know.
Oh, well, we'll miss you on the Hangouts.
I know. I don't know. I might have to just rearrange my schedule so I wake up in the middle of the night and go back to sleep or something, or change my hours.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, it's about what you want, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And at the worst, I'll just have to watch it. So, but I need to go home and be with my husband for a while and see about trying to make it from there and make it online somehow. And I don't know. This week's kind of like my week to find out if I get into grad school, and then if I do, I would come back in the fall. I decided, huh?
Sorry, I was just saying, you can still get a ticket to Charlotte. They're still available, so.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
I can't afford to go to
Until
Charlotte.
about probably
I can't afford
tonight,
to do anything.
They're less than 100 left now, so.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I bought my plane ticket to Montana. I need to go to Montana.
Okay,
but I'm glad you said that.
Friday, won't we?
The next one, maybe, I'll make it too.
Okay. Well, we'll see you tomorrow morning on the Hangout, won't we? Before you go to Montana? Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right, I have to jump off, everyone.
Maybe even Wednesday from the airport. You never know.
Yeah, on your phone.
because my flight, I have to be at the airport at like 5, I think. So if I make it through, then I'll be sitting there waiting. If I make it through, and there shouldn't be a lot of people at
that time.
What's that thing called? Customs, or it's not customs, but security.
Yeah.
You know, at 5 in the morning, there shouldn't be a lot of people at security. So you never know. Anyway, see you tomorrow, guys.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and see you tomorrow.
All right. Bye, Sandy.
Bye, guys.